Hello, my name is Connor Plumley. In this review, I'm going to be talking about how to take pictures of rivers. Not just rivers, but long exposures of rivers. You may notice a lot of times professional photographers, when they take pictures of a river, they have it continually flowing. It looks kind of like a flat, smooth surface. Well, that's because they're taking a long exposure of the river itself. And in this review, I'm going to talk about how you can do that with your camera. First, I'm going to start with the equipment that you're going to need. Of course, you're going to need a digital camera, but you don't need necessarily a digital SLR. Pretty much any camera will work as long as it has a manual mode that you can use. And then, of course, you're definitely going to have to have a tripod. It's definitely necessary because in order to get that flowing look in the river, you're going to have to take a picture that's at least a second long and probably even longer, all the way up to about 30 seconds, depending on how bright it is outside. Alright, now I'm going to talk to you about how I set up my camera when I'm taking pictures of rivers and doing it for long exposure. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set it to your manual mode first. Once you have it set to your manual mode, you're going to want to adjust the f-stop. Now, like for all landscape photography, you're going to want to make your f-stop pretty small, between f-stop 8 and f-stop 22. Now, right now it's pretty bright out still, so I'm actually going to use a pretty small f-stop. I set my f-stop to f-stop 16, and that's what I'm going to use for this exposure because it's pretty bright right now. If it was darker, I would probably use a shorter, larger f-stop. Next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to set my ISO. Like for all landscape photography, you want to have your ISO as low as possible. Mine goes down to ISO 100. Some other digital SLRs go down to ISO 50 or ISO 200. But for all landscape images, including rivers, I would suggest setting it as low as you can possibly get. Once you have that all set up, you can adjust your shutter speed. Alright, and if you have a small f-stop and you're using a low ISO, you should be able to have a picture that's about a second long or so. Maybe longer if you want it. It's a little bit bright right now, so I can't get a full second of exposure. I can only go down to 1/20th of a second. That's why when you're taking pictures of flowing rivers, you want to do it when it's a little later in the day and a little bit darker, so you can get those longer exposures. Once you have those settings all set up and ready to go, you're pretty much ready to take your picture. However, there is a lot more to taking pictures of landscapes than just setting your exposure, f-stop, and ISO. You also got to have a good eye for composition and lighting, as well as for your camera itself. I don't just set my ISO, my f-stop, or shutter speed to take a picture. I also adjust several other things in the camera depending on how I want the picture to look. And that, of course, is all the photographer's preference. And this has been a review on how to take pictures of long exposure of rivers.